This is what we're going to do. It's going to be just like the level 10 test is. So there will be a demo routine. And then after the demo routine, I will give you the score and the breakdown, but not go over the whole script. And then we will go through 6 routines and we will not stop and talk about them. You will get the time to judge them. And then we will get at the end and then we'll go back and we'll talk about all of them. So it's really like a real test situation.
Ten seconds. Time.
Okay, so here's your demo score range. So you'll know she did have a 10 start. She had 6 in bonus, CV, D, and E. She had all her other requirements, so she's going to be a 10 plus 1. And then our execution deductions came to 1.3, dynamics 05, bonus 1, that's the actual plus 1. So our score was 875.
10 seconds. Time. Ten seconds. Time. 10 seconds. Time. Ten seconds. Time. 10 seconds. Time. Ten seconds. Time.
Okay, take a deep breath because now we're going to review those routines so we can compare what you did to what the scores were. So the demo routine we know was a 875. So we had the kip cast squat on, we had the long hang, the cast, the toe on into the ginger. And we had some amplitude on the ginger. We had angles that weren't there. And on the toe on, we had bent arms. So then the long hang kip wasn't extended. The cast, which was not to handstand, we took 2. The bail was to handstand, so she got the D into the toe shoot C for +1. But we had some amplitude on that body position, and on the toe shoot, we had a 10. And then cast handstand, giant, and a full in. So that all got her the 10 +1, but the execution did come up to about 1.3. Here she goes, lack of extension. Again, a little head out, body position, bent arms. And that was a little bit low and close. Again, not a handstand there. The bail we did give, but look at the body position and the legs apart. And the toe shoot, remember we want that amplitude, the hips, high bar height. giants, a little bit of shape. And remember, her dismount then was an E. So her chest was low and she took a step, but she did have the 10-1. Let's look at the script for test number 1. Our score was an 8-8. So she went kip, cast, handstand to the toe shoot. You can see there's amplitude there. Long hang kip, lack of extension. Again, cast handstand, a little body position. Then she did toe on half to the undergrip. So that was the D into the Jaeger, D. So DD +2, the Tkachev D. Pack, which remember our pack rules about the hips, high bar height in the air, and catching with their shoulders over the bar with a tight body. And then she did a cast handstand half turn to the toe shoot for CC +1 and ended with the E. So she had a 10-0 start. We did get the extra +1 because she had the E at the end. So she had at least 6 in bonus. But you can see her execution was lacking angles, not extended, amplitude, again, amplitude, body position, amplitude on the Jaeger, and then same thing on the Tkachev, and then the pack. So let's look at her routine and see. We didn't have any compositional deductions. Not extended. A little short. Okay, she's a little close with bent arms. And again, the handstand, toe on, half turn, which is the D with the body position error, struggled through it. Tkachev was low to the bar. Here's her pack. She did get her shoulders over, but she was very archy and kind of loose. And now we had the amplitude on that, catching. And her dismount, just with her chest a little bit low and had a little step and the legs a little bit apart. So that ended up with an 8-8. All right, let's go to number 2 and see her script. So she struggled a little more. She had an 8-3-5. So our start value was a 9-8. Let's review it. She went kip squat on. She did a straddle back to a handstand C, and then another kip and a cast handstand to the toe shoot to the high bar. And that was really very low, lacking a lot of swing. Long hang, cast handstand, clear up handstand to the giant full to the double tuck dismount. So she was kind of back end loaded with her bonus. She had the C to D for 1 and the D to C for 1. So 2 in connection, only 1 in D. So she didn't have any other bonus. Her requirements were there, but we ended up with a 9-8 start. So compositionally, she had some problems because she continued facing the same direction the whole entire routine. The giant full was her only turn. And for this requirement, the giant full doesn't count. So we took the 1/10 for no direction change. And it did fulfill a turn direction for her groups. So a C turn and a 3-6-7 or forward skill. So it fulfilled that, but not facing the same direction the whole routine. That's the one that she got off. And then let's look at her release level. She had the straddle back C and the toe shoot C. So 2 C releases that are isolated is the whole 2/10 deduction. So this is a lower level 10 routine. Her execution errors were mostly the toe shoot was very low in amplitude. The giant full was angle and legs were apart. Cast handstand had angle and body position, and the dismount had amplitude. So we're down at an 835. Let us look at her in slow. Lack of stretch, and here she goes. She's going to do the straddle back. Gave it the C, got a little body posture in there, and the head is out. And kip, cast. Toe shoot was very low. Her hips were quite a bit below the high bar. So we took the 2. And that was not really a handstand. So had a couple there. Giant full. Look at when her second hand gets on the bar is when we judge the angle of the turn, and it was very late, so we had 2. Dismount, flex feet, low, and so 835. So she was considerably better. She had all her difficulties. She had her special requirements. Yes, let's look at her bonus. She did the D toe on half turn to reverse grip for D into her Jaeger, DD +2. Then long hang cast handstand, gave it a B, to another toe on C into her bail to handstand, C to D +1. And then she did the Stalder handstand on the low bar out of it for D to C1. Then she circled around, went back to the high bar. She had handstand that was a little bit off, and giant, and double layout. So we gave that E, and it did have kind of a pike in it and a steps. She had plenty of bonus, so she had the 10 +1. Compositionally, she had her D releases. She had an E dismount. She had turns. She had forward. She had everything she needed. So our execution was really the only thing we have. And so we were 925. Let us take a look at her in slow. A little short right there. And there's the D turn that was a little bit late with the Jaeger, which needed more amplitude. Toe on with arms. Bail to handstand, gave the D, but legs are apart. Stalder, a little bit of deduction. Little lack of extension, little short again. And that was a wow dismount. So we ended up 925. She had that really nice dismount, but it did have to pike down a little bit. Number 4, let's look at her. Quite a bit different from the girl we just saw. It had a middle range score. She had her Maloney to the high bar D, and then she had long hang, cast handstand, and then she had an E, piked Tkachev. Then she went to the high bar again, and she had a toe on, she had a bail to handstand, and then she did the Stalder half turn on the low bar to a handstand, and then another Stalder half turn, which didn't quite get there, to a toe shoot, giant double tuck. So you know when you see that giant double tuck, for sure you're going to have composition deductions. So we had lacking backswing on her Maloney to the high bar. So it was piked and low on the backswing. Remember that backswing has to go to horizontal. Then she did her release on the high bar, which needed a little bit more amplitude. So we had 0.15, we had feet. Then when she went back up to the high bar, we had little bent arms. We had legs on the bail to handstand. Then we had legs on the Stalder half turn, and just a little bit of lack of control. Close to the bar on the toe shoot, short on the handstand into the dismount, and then body position on her giants. And it looked like she even had an early tuck into her dismount. So we're down at an 865. We did have bonus. We had a D, an E, a C, D, C. So there's 1, 2 in connection, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4 in DE. So she did have a 10 plus 1, but you know, even though you're going to get that 10 plus 1, you still have to have the execution that goes along with it. And we had composition for the dismount 1/10, we had 05 dynamics, and we had 1.45 in execution. So that really brought her score down to more of a mid 8. All right, here she goes, and she catches, but look at how low she is. That's a 10th and a 10th. Feet. Short. Short and close. Now we're going to do bail to handstand with a little saggy body and a little lack of control. Stalder half turn. Stalder half turn is a B, because that one, when her hand got on the bar, it was not within 20. The toe shoot needed more amplitude. And the giant. And you know, this one had a lot of stuff. One rule of thumb I always go by is, oh my gosh, I'm getting lost. There's a lot to write down here. If you feel like, oh, I don't remember what that is, what's a symbol, just draw a circle on your paper and keep on going. Don't try to stop and think on bars. You have to just let your hand keep writing, and you have to stay up with the girl. All right, number 5. So let's look at what she did. She did kip squat, long hang, cast handstand, giant half C into the Jaeger D for +1. Then another kip, cast handstand, and then a pack D. Then she's on the low bar and she does a handstand half turn into the toe shoot, CC for 1. And then she did a giant double tuck. She only has 2 in connection and 2 DE. That's all that's in the routine. All her requirements were there, but the dismount, being the double tuck, was the 1/10 deduction for composition. So we had 9/9 start. We took the 1 for the composition. She didn't have a lot of execution errors, so she was fairly clean, which is really good. And so she only had a lot of little half-tenthers throughout the routine. So we were at a 9/4. Let's watch her and see if we agree the second time around. A little lacking extension. Pretty nice. Pretty good there. That was right on. And her pack was just a little bit loose and wiggly. Handstand half turn. And that had pretty good amplitude, maybe L5. And giant and another giant, and she's just going to do a simple double tuck, but do it well. So she had to step on the dismount, but it had nice height. So we ended up with a 9-4. So that was really one of our best executed routines. We didn't have any dynamics on her. I thought she was swingful and nice, and she had good form. So here we go, number 6. She went kip cast handstand, clear hip, B to a toe shoot, then long hang, cast handstand. Then she did a ginger. Then out of that, she went long hang, cast, no handstand, into a B bail over the bar, kip with lack of extension. And then she hit the floor and dragged her legs. So that was big. You could have had, here we have 3+1. You could have had 3+2. Little rhythm air, getting back on the bar, a short handstand again, giant, and double tuck. So she had 1D for the ginger, and that was her only bonus. She did have her A's, B's, and C's, and she had her different groups, her turn and her 3, 6, 7, and that was all okay. But her release level was a C and a D, and they were isolated. So that's 1/10. And then the dismount was just the plain C, so that was 1/10. So we had 2 in composition. You probably should be taking a dynamics on this, 1, maybe even more. But our execution was around 2 points. You could easily have 1.8 to 2.2 in execution, depending on what you did. So just for the ballpark score of a 7.5, you could have been a 7.2, you could have been a 7.7. You know, when you're that low, we do have a lot bigger range. So let's look at that routine in slow. The execution as you see it. Here's 05. That was maybe a B, giveable, little short, little piked. And that again had issues again with amplitude. We gave it a B, not a C. And again, she's just got some overall body position all the way through. Her ginger, she kept her legs together, but it could have been a little higher. This cast was not near, so we took 2. The bail was a B. Here we go. Another handstand that wasn't there. Giant, okay, into her dismount. So that is the end